Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Farming Simulator 19, and welcome back to the Holzer map. Oh, welcome back to the Holzer map. I had a moment, I have to tell you. I had a moment yesterday. I was doing just bringing some things up to date so we'd be ready to record this morning. And I fired the map up, and some things were missing. Some buildings that I had placed were missing. I had a bit of a, you know what I'm saying? I did. So I replaced one of those buildings with another building. I did some things. When I started the map up again, everything was missing. Even buildings that the map maker had placed were missing. I had a bit of a panic. I was able to get everything sorted out using one of the backups. I only lost about an hour's work. But yeah, we'll talk about that. So first thing I will show you is this. Oh, ba-boom. Our BGA was the first thing that disappeared. And it was difficult for me to figure out how to fit it back in there. It was trying to overwrite some things, and I thought, you know what? We never used that we had the Stevie's heating plant back there. We're never going to harvest poplar or wood chips, so I went ahead and put this in here. And surprisingly, even though it was bigger, it did fit more easily. I'm comfortable saying that we have gone from being a small sheep farmer in Bavaria to being a small energy company. Because if you think about it, we've got our solar farm over there. And now we've got this thing, right? We're a small energy company. I'm guessing that between these two facilities, we could make enough electricity for this valley. I also swapped out, okay, so when we lost our BGA, we had about 150,000 liters of digestate in there, and I don't buy fertilizer anymore, right? So then we had our fertilizer plant over here where you put in hard manure and slurry and you get out fertilizer, which we really didn't have a way to spread. I guess we could use our lime spreader, but we weren't using it. So since we lost this fertilizer and would need to buy fertilizer, I went ahead and swapped out the fertilizer mixing plant for this buy point, and you can buy either digestate or slurry here. So I was able to save the map. A couple things are a little different, and we've already put about 50,000 liters of silage in here, and then over here, I guess it does it at midnight because it says we have at the moment 0. Or this thing is bugged out and it'll never make anything. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Right, so let me show you this as well, too. So this is the Fent 512 that we got last episode, maybe episode before, but it's a different one, and I'll show you what's different about it. So that is a small tractor. So when you buy this thing, there are two versions. There is standard sound, and then there is gear shift sound, which is the, it's a faux transmission. It doesn't, I think it's essentially a CVT, even though this tractor may or may not have come with a CVT. All tractors in Farm Sim have basically a CVT, and then this overlays a sound that makes it sound as though it's shifting through the gears. But we don't need that anymore because I found a gear shift mod, and we'll just try to do it around the parking lot. I may be able to get up enough speed to do it. Hey, there goes my voice. It's been really good for a few weeks, but it's going again. Let me have a little coffee, see if that helps. Right. And that is for real shifting through the gears. And I'll tell you about this mod. I'm actually going to talk about it, I'd say a fair bit today, but I'll show it to you first. So this is what it looks like. And this is a vehicle control add-on. This is a beta. It's a work in progress. Actually, it's a work in no progress because it's been discontinued by the mod maker. But I found it, and at the moment, I recommend it. It's got a lot of very cool things. Down this column, you can see it does have some camera controls, which are very cool. It's got low brake force, which I would describe as compression braking. It's got some sound adjustments. You can set up a hand throttle. It's got a shuttle, if you're into that. It's got a variety of transmissions that you can pick, and I think this is kind of an improvement over the previous version of Gearbox, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Speed limiter, you can set your launch gear, although none of these things seem particularly sticky. particularly sticky. It's interesting. And then over here, it's got GPS built into it as well. Good grief. So let's drop this off. Well, we'll get it fixed first, then we'll drop it off. Then we'll head over to our new cow farm, our new dairy farm, and do some things over there. And as we're doing all this, I'll tell you. So, I think you may not need to do this depending on how big the trigger is, but I do it anyway, just to be sure that it's going to work. This thing also has a parking brake function. They don't call it parking brake this time around. They call it engage gear, but it brings up a parking brake icon. So it's close enough for me. Did we not get it? Oh, game. Open vehicle options. Oh, we got to do it this way now because we've lost that button. Clicking the left stick is something that I've used for, forever, for the sort of action function, but I'm using it for switch gears now, from forward to reverse for shuttle, I guess would be a better way to say it. And because of that, it's overwritten. You know, you can use click left stick for, click left stick for like to fill a like a tanker, slurry tanker. I'm struggling with my words today. I don't know what's going on. Or to fill fuel and that sort of thing. I've lost those functions, so I need to tap my R key even when I'm not in a vehicle. I can maybe take a look at key bindings and see if I can sort that out. Maybe I can. So yeah, it's very, very cool, and you can find it on GitHub. You know, I don't link to mods, but if you do a search for GitHub Vehicle Control FS19, you'll find it fairly quickly. It is no longer being supported by the mod maker, and I went ahead and, because it's not being supported, I'm not terribly worried about it, so I went ahead and pulled it apart. I found a packet of like 100 different turbo blow-off sounds and went ahead and got one of those in there. It came in as a WAV file, so I had to convert it to an OGG. But we've got a slightly different turbo sound. I didn't care for the one that was included with the mod. And I'm a little disappointed that it is not going to be supported, because I think it could be... it's such a cool mod. I mean, it's a combination of so many things. I would call it a combination of drive control, gearbox. It feels like it's got some aspects of more realistic to it as far as the compression braking, and also GPS mod. So it's a very ambitious mod, and I really appreciate the mod maker, and they seem to be German, perhaps. So I understand that things can sometimes be lost in translation, and there's some cultural differences, and there are different ways that people use languages that are not their own. So I don't know that the mod maker was... yeah, let's pick this up before we leave. I don't know that the mod maker... I wouldn't describe them as, like, angry or anything, but their final post seemed a little bit short, you know? A little bit terse. I do this every time. No, we'll pull straight, and I'm not going to back all the way up again. They seemed a little bit terse when they wrapped things up, and I don't want to read anything into that, but at the same time, they seemed a little, you know, it wasn't... Anyway, who knows? But I am really... I continue to be sort of baffled by FS19. Like, losing that save game. The game just seems different now. It seems different than FS19. It seems more volatile, and it seems like it's more difficult for modders to make things for the game. So that could just be something I'm noticing. That could be legit. Unknown at this time. But regardless, be careful with your save games, and good luck finding mods. They are definitely more scarce. Now, I was wondering about something, and again, I only know what I read on the internet, and that ain't much. But it seems that one of the developers of Cattle and Crops is the developer of this mod, this vehicle control mod. As always, if I'm wrong, I apologize. I mean no disrespect to anybody. That's just as I understand it. And I wonder sometimes if Now, you know I pulled away from Cattle and Crops. I told them to delete my account. I'm done, even though I was a Kickstarter and the whole thing. And I wonder sometimes if this realistic farm sim that we're after is not actually happening right now in the Cattle and Crops early access, and I'm missing it all because I'm stubborn and prideful, and you know what I'm saying? So I think that would be like, I wouldn't say the ultimate irony, but that'd be pretty ironic if the game that I want already exists and I'm just too stubborn to go look at it. And then on top of that, if it's that good, I will admit that I'm prideful and self-destructive, and I will buy Cattle and Crops. And that would be funny if I've already paid $100 in the Kickstarter, then told them to delete my account and then buy the game again because it's worth having. Oh, but you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it because this is something I've learned, and this is something that I know very, very clearly. If you can't laugh at how silly you are, if you can't enjoy being human, you know what? You're not doing it right. Because humans are very silly people. They really are. They do silly things, and I'm probably at the top of the list as far as doing silly things. And I know that, and I wouldn't say that I enjoy it or make light of it, but I'm at peace with it. People are very silly, and they do silly things. They do terrible things for dumb reasons, and that's just who we are. We're just people. So it's entirely possible that I will end up buying Cattle and Crops again. At least it'll only be the second time. You know what I'm saying? It could be worse. I could have to buy it like 3 times. So let me show you something. So this is our little Stoll front loader over here, and set the brake. No brake sound when you put the brake on. No little ratchet sound, no hiss. I'm thinking about trying to put that in. I don't know if I'll be able to. So check this out. Dynamic hose back here. Dynamic hose here. Also dynamic hose, careful. Also dynamic hose down here. Check this out. Now, is there... Yeah, I'll have to take that off. Okay. So first, we will hop in here. And I'm going to pull forward just a little bit. Just a little bit. Right about there. I feel like the brakes are slightly different with this mod. I'm still getting used to it. There is an inch. Did we see it in here? It may not be in here. Hand throttle, low brake. No, might not be there. It might be here. So if we go down here to... Yeah, this is the vehicle control. So there is inching. Left shift. Interesting. So there is inching, and I guess you can, if you want to, or if you have a wheel set up with a ton of extra buttons and doodads on it, I'm guessing you can drive a tractor pretty realistically. So right over here, I have one of the CSZ buckets, and I want to show you this as well. Fortunately, it's out in the sun, too. I didn't really plan it that way. Come on. Get up there. Get up there. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Oh, what was going on there? Would not move at all. I wonder if it was seeing my front loader is down too low. Huh. We'll never know. Right. So we hook this up, and now... Set the brake. And now... These are all hooked up down here, and I've only ever seen this second set of dynamic hoses. I've only ever seen this on the CSZ set of implements, which is not to say that other people are not using it, other mod makers are not using it. It's just the only place where I've seen it. But that is, I think, a very cool detail. Right. So we're going to back this up. There's a specific thing we're doing right now before we do anything else. And that is... We're going to pull in here. Yeah, be very careful with the brakes. It feels like the brake force is reduced a bit. All right. So we got that. We'll come back here and get our weight. Yeah. This takes a little getting used to. I think we'll get used to it. Right. I can also tell you something that I sort of knew this, but operating without it now, I'm 100% confident saying that the vehicle extension, the vehicle add-on, the previous mod that we were using to add a little bit more realism to the vehicles, I had a suspicion. Where's our gap in the barbed wire here? Oh, I can't see it. Is that it right there? Where is it? Oh, it's the next one down. That's why we can't see it. It's because it's not there. I had a suspicion that that mod takes a normally functioning tractor, and when you have the diff locks and the four-wheel drive off, it essentially just potatoes that tractor. And then when you turn the diff lock and four-wheel drive on, then it unpotatoes it and gives it its original performance, which in comparison to the potato version, right, suddenly it's a powerhouse. But I always felt like that was kind of a, I don't want to say sloppy. I don't know what the mod maker was intending, but that always felt like kind of a, maybe not the best way to do it. And it just seemed, I don't know. And it could be that is the best way to do it, that maybe in FS19 the physics are different or something is different, but I prefer this. Now I have seen some single wheel spin with this mod. So we're trying to move a heavy tipper or something, and only one of the back wheels spins a little bit, and then suddenly they both grab. And what I'm wondering is if this mod maker did not set it up so that the diff lock is essentially automatic. Because when you think about diff lock and four-wheel drive, if you need four-wheel drive to get up a hill, or if you need diff lock to get through some mud or something, there's really no other option than to turn it on. So I got to thinking maybe having it be sort of automatic makes sense, because what else would you do, right? You would need to do something to make the tractor more powerful, for lack of a better word, to get around that obstacle or to get through that obstacle. Are my cows not moving at all? Oh, game. Oh, game. It's always something with you. It really is. Right. So we've got... Oh, it's so realistic. We've got... I believe our bale trigger is right here. Right. Oh, there they go. They were just sleeping. Yeah, I believe our bale trigger is right about here. And we'll see if we can shove it in there. Yeah, they were just sleeping. Alright, that worked at the last second because we were just about to essentially mount that bale and straddle it and sit atop it like a hobby horse. And that's not cool. So that is where the bale trigger is in this barn. It's tricky to get to. It looks big. It's actually quite small. Right. So yeah, as far as diff lock and everything else goes, I would rather have it automatic because, you know, what else is it going to be? It almost has to be. And so if that's the way that the mod maker set it up, because in that other mod that we were using for vehicle extension, there's no penalty to just leaving the four-wheel drive and diff locks on all the time, which in my estimation essentially takes the tractor back to its original state anyway. So if it's like an ETS, there is a differential lock. You can only use it at low speed, and you have to turn it off when you get onto pavement, or even the way Mud Runner is set up. That's not going to work, is it? It is, maybe. Everything could go crazy right here. Cover your ears. Oh, there. JK, LOL. Right. Oh, okay, I see what it did. It didn't... Ah, interesting. It didn't connect to the weight. It connected to the regular hitch under the weight because the weight was on the linkage. Okay. All right. But hey, man, you know what? It's a Monday. It's a Monday. What are we going to do? All right. So take this back here. There we go. That's better. Turn this on. We want round bales. We already have round bales, so we'll turn that off again. Don't need that anymore. Here we go. So I'm going to take 10 bales over to our little sheep farm, and then the rest are going down to the Unterreiterhof, which is going to be where we mix food. I've decided I want to mix all of our food down there. Yeah, we're going auto load today. As we do, it's just quicker. It's just quicker. I was on multiplayer yesterday and I was stacking bales. And people saw it. People saw ill will stacking bales. I can do it. I just don't like to. I really don't. So we're going to take 10 to the sheep farm. We're going to take the rest to the Unterreiterhof, and that's going to be where we mix all our food. And I think I said last episode, that makes the most sense, and the reason why is this. If we know we're going to be driving our self-propelled mixer back and forth between these two farms anyway, what's the difference whether it's full or empty? So if we have half of our straw and half of our silage at this farm, right, and half at the other farm, then we're driving back and forth to mix. If we have it all at the other farm, then we're just driving back and forth to deliver it. Where's our, there it is. Couldn't find my way out of the field. So what's the difference, right? And if anything, it's easier because now we can go with straight silage instead of the bale wrapper, right? We can go with silage in a bunker instead of using the bale wrapper, which is pretty time intensive because we've got to make the bales. That takes time. Then we've got to wrap the bales. That takes time. Then we've got to pick the bales up. That takes time. For the same amount of time that it takes to pick the bales up, we could just gather everything up with a forage wagon and be done with it. Going the other way. Other way, ill will. Get it together, son. There we go. And I would also like to get a proper forager, and I'd like to get the twin to our Big M. So get a Big X in the same colors and run that alongside our Big M. Or actually, to be fair, after the Big M goes through, then we can hit it with a proper forage harvester. So yeah, I think that's the direction we'll go in, and we're just about to, we've already turned the corner, I think, as far as money, because this is, I assume, the last property that we'll get. It's getting to be a bit cumbersome to manage everything and get to everything in a timely fashion. So I think this will be the last property we get because I'm sort of at my limit. And then we'll just focus on getting a couple more pieces of equipment. Let's aim for like 25 episodes. And the last episode will be getting the wind farm, the wind turbine farm. And that is, I want to say 2.5 million. So that's that's a decent chunk of money. That'll do. Yeah, all this was gone. And I'm talking about buildings that were placed by the map maker. They just weren't there. You know what? I'm going to be half legit. That's a thing. It's totally a thing. I will manually put these in the barn because if we use the auto unload, it's going to put them at the front of the barn so as not to make just a big messy pile on top of the other ones. But I would like to have them stacked against the back wall, and that can't happen. Actually, we put them over here. Because if I put them there in front of the house, there won't be enough room to take them back and forth. Right, so we'll put these here, like so. Perfect. We'll put these here, and then I'll put them in the barn manually off camera. Right, so we're getting there. And I think what I may do, yeah, I have me an idea. To keep this episode flowing. Keep it flowing. It's not really flowing right now. Ill will. Well, it's a Monday, like I said. God, that glare. Oh, here. I can show you this too. Check this out. So when we're in cab, now you can set it up. Set the brake. You can set it up any way you want. So in this left column here, interior camera rotation, exterior camera rotation, you can set these independently. Look backwards, you can set those independently. Adaptive steering, right? And peek sideways. You can adjust those all from You can adjust those all independently. So what that means is when we're inside, and I'm not touching the camera. In fact, I'll center it just to keep it legit. But now, as we turn the wheel, the camera turns. And when we shift to reverse, it flips the camera. That is very cool. That right there, if you turned everything else off, that right there is almost worth having the mod just for that. It's a little herky-jerky, I have to say, depending on your frame rate, but so worth it, particularly the backing up. And that's almost one of the reasons that I don't stay in cab more, is when we turn around to back up, because I have my camera sensitivity set low so the camera doesn't bounce around and give you motion sickness. It takes forever to turn my head versus this. Oh, it's fantastic. And it's got a peak feature, which I haven't really used a whole lot yet, but that seems pretty cool too. So let's get this let's get these last couple bales out of the field here, and then we're going to, I'll show you the GPS and we'll call it. And I'll show you the GPS via I know what we can do. I know what we could do. Got me a plan. Right. Oh, sorry, I just got real quiet there. I was thinking about something. I was thinking out loud. Except I wasn't. I'm such an idiot. I was thinking out loud when I went completely quiet. Oh, God. Why did I start a YouTube channel? What was I thinking? And I also am still, because I have all my game controllers plugged in at once, I am also continuing to fight with, I believe I'm getting some phantom signals, because my wheel is always in the center. I believe my, like if I give a steering input via my gamepad is saying turn, and the wheel is saying no, 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 continue on, steady on the helm, sir, that sort of thing. Right. So out we go. What else is going on? I saw it looks like possibly an unauthorized conversion of Donos Laskowitz to FS19. That looks cool. I'm not going to play it because it's an unauthorized conversion, but if you're into that, give it a try. It says there's a couple things that are different. And I guess that could be an example of what I'm talking about, is you know, that map maker, they made PGR Bruzda, they made Donos Laskowitz. I think they may have made one other one. Those are amazing maps. Like, to me, that's a very talented, very serious map maker. Where are their FS19 maps? I really feel like it's just different. I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like 19 is, something's going on. Something's going on. And I'm beginning to wonder if the serious modders and serious realistic players are not moving toward Cattle and Crops as it gets closer and closer to being released. Man, as I said earlier, that would be, you know, that would be ironic, and that would be funny, and that would be embarrassing, and that would be pretty typical for me, I have to say. If you don't know me that well, that's kind of how I roll. I'm definitely enjoying life, and I really enjoy how silly people can be, in a good way. In a good way. I think it's, you know, if there's one thing that binds us together and should keep us from fighting, it's our ability to acknowledge and laugh at our own silliness. Because, God, people can be, wow, we can be silly, right? Let's get this up out of the way. Up out of the way, I said. All right, and like the warrior, you can't control the front loader all the time. You can only control it when a certain part of the front loader is selected. Interesting. Interesting. Now, we got one more challenge here today, and that is to get through this gap in the fence. And I think, I mean, we got the rake through, and that thing's pretty big. And this has, if anything, oh, I was going to say less tail whip, and just then we tail whipped. Come on. There we go. Well, we got some bales out of this field, and this was, there's it was double fertilized, no lime, and obviously it's not plowed. I mean, I guess you could plow it and then replant the grass, and that would give you another 10% for what? 3 cycles, 3 harvests. You could do that, I guess, if you really wanted to. But we didn't get lime on it, so we would have been at double fert would be 160%. If we can get the lime on it, that takes us to 190%. So we'll get lime on next time, and we'll be close to double yield for this field. But we got, even just at 160%, we got some grass bales, some hay bales rather, out of this field. So we're good to go on food, and I think we're going to be okay. We're getting to the point where we're beginning to make money. And also that BGA, the previous BGA that we had a very narrow curving ramp up to the hopper, and I was not confident that Courseplay would be able to handle that. If we reactivate Courseplay, right, we will have the ability to unload that bunker with a macro and not have to do it manually. So essentially that bunker can unload itself while we're doing other things. And if we put, well, if we were to put all these fields in there, we could probably have 700, 800,000 liters of silage, which is going to make, it's just going to make us so much money. So at that point, I wouldn't say we'd just be into pure profit, but because there's really not a lot more to buy, and we need to buy a forage harvester, a bigger silage. Yeah, we'd buy a bigger silage tipper. Let me get this right here. Get down there. Brake is set. We're going to leave this running because it was hot. And we're going to go, we're going to vault a barbed wire fence like it ain't even a thing. And we're going to run down here because we don't tab. Get in our, I guess we can get in the Warrior, and we'll grab our slurry tank, fill it, come up here. I'll show you the GPS, and then we're done. We might be a little bit long today. A little bit long. But you know what? There's worse things. There's worse things than a nice long farm sim video on a Monday morning. Monday for me, Tuesday for you. Oh, and we've got our horses too. We'll get another $250,000 the next time we sell our horses. So I think we're safe now. We're out of the woods. And we could even sell a couple tractors because we have 5. And these farms are close enough together that we don't need 5. So we're okay. Our Warrior right here. So we go in here I said, right in there. Now, one thing I've noticed, like I said, these aren't terribly persistent, so let's come back here and confirm that everything is where we want it. Right, let's set this back. Right, looks good, looks good. Yeah, it specifically says on the GitHub that this is no longer maintained. So it's a work in progress. It was a beta when it was released, and I'm guessing that's all it's going to be, and that's cool. You know, somebody else will come up with another one. We can work on it ourselves. It is what it is. And it's still, you know what? Let's do this too. Let's do this too because we have it, right? Let's use it. We've got our front tank here as well. So we're going to lower this, drop it. And we're going to come back here. This game, man, it's so ridiculous. It's such a silly game, but it's so awesome. I don't entirely get it, but I feel like a kid when I play it. You know, just messing about with diggers, as you do. I need to sort out the fine braking on this because I feel like I have less control and I'm pulling up too far from implements and getting that big jump when I hook up. That ain't cool. That ain't cool. Right, so we're going to unfold this and fill it first. Right in here. Right about there. Set the brake. Now it says it's got digestate in it now, so I guess we'll put more digestate in it. Or is that... it could be digestate that's in the trailer, but it's only showing it as 1 volume. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. So we're going to back it up, fold it up, turn this around. Right about there. And we'll top it off. I wonder what happens if you mix the two. You can't. Okay. I was trying to tab it over to slurry to see if we could mix the two. Can you do that in real life? Would you? I don't know. Sip of the coffee. I need to get, and I think I may get it later today, I need to get a microphone stand. Something else to add to the Portable Gamer Studio. I need to get a microphone stand and a shock mount for my mic and a pop screen, and I think that will cut down, like if I bump my wheel, you may hear it, but because my microphone is sitting on the desk that my wheel is bolted to, when I bump the wheel you get that big, like, low frequency thud, and I'd like to clean that stuff up. Those are the details, and that's the stuff I have to say that when I started doing this, you hear these people, you hear somebody like Massive G, and it's just so pro. Their videos, their sound, everything is just so professional, and I think, yeah, I want to do it like that. But it takes a lot of, there's a lot of details. There's a lot of things you got to do, and I'll get to it. So if I go get a microphone stand today, hopefully that's the last thump that you hear of me bumping my wheel. Right there, right through here. And what was the other map? Oh, Hofbergman has dropped. I wanted to mention this earlier and I forgot. Hopefully you made it this deep into the video. Hofbergman dropped. If you are into German maps running more scripts than the human mind can conceive of, get yourself Hofbergman. I spent a lot of time on it in 17. It's not, I don't want to say I've outgrown that kind of map, or, you know, but it's too many scripts for me. It's like Klingenbach. I don't know if you've ever played Klingenbach. It's a fantastic map, but it's like all scripts. And for me, that gets a little... I'm just not as into it as I used to be, but if you are into scripts, Hofbergman is out, and Hofbergman has to be one of the most thoughtfully built maps that I've ever seen. It really is, it's just unbelievable. And it's available. And then I saw another map. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you the name of it, because making a map is hard, and let's not be unkind to people. But I tested a map, and it's got to be the most, it's a German map, and the amount of scenery that's in it is just, it's almost, well, it's not almost, it is definitely like, it's just packed full of scenery. Like, they just put all the scenery they could. There's got to be like 40 wind turbines visible at once, and I think I was getting like 7 FPS. So, you know, there's a limit. There is a limit, and this map maker found it. Okay, so here's the last thing about this. Only if inactive. So we have to do this first. We have to go to our garage, and we have to see how wide the throw is on this spreader. Good grief, we have a lot of equipment. It is 14.8 meters. Okay, so then we go back here. And we want this to be, I'm going to call it, oh, we only get, okay, I'm going to call it 15 meters is what I'm going to call it. So we have this snap. I don't know if you saw that angle snap right here. Snap angle, right? And you can adjust this to, I would call those sort of cardinal points. Let's make it 15, right? And then if you look down in the HUD, in the lower right-hand corner, you can see we've got a compass heading now in there. So if we hit, so we line this up on, we'll call it 315, because we're on 15 degree snap, 360, down to 345, down to 340, down to 315. You see what I'm getting at? We are going to snap our heading, our GPS heading, to our current heading. And because we are on a 15 degree, I don't know, mark, right? That's our heading. So if we back up now, yeah, let's do it this way. If we back up now, because it's green, that indicates that we're snapped to it, but it's going to stay there because we, I don't know, whatever, set it. So we get up here, right about like so. This is set, that's set. We say snap, we start to spray, we turn the cruise control on, and it's going to pull us to that heading. And then, and I like this too, after you get going a little bit, it turns off the markers, which, you know, I guess in the old GPS for 17, you could follow that if you didn't want to use the automatic steering. You could follow that marker, but I would have preferred if it just put a marker like on the windscreen or just in front of the tractor. But I wasn't always happy with that marker being like way out in front of the tractor, all the way across the field. All right, so we'll go over here, and we'll do the same thing. Yeah, I don't want to spray too much poo on our barn, or do I? Right, and then off we go. It's gonna, yeah, we're just gonna get the corner of it. I think we should be okay. But this is very cool too. There is a GPS for 19, but I never really got it working too well, and I was never super happy with it. So this is, yeah, just a little bit. We'll come out with the power washer and clean that up. So this is another thing that if the mod had nothing but this GPS, it would still be, to me, a very cool mod. So we'll do one more length here. All right, turn on the cruise control. Here we go. But this is, are you kidding me? This is super cool. I'm really happy that I found this. I'm disappointed that it is not going to be supported, but you know what? It's better than nothing, right? Right? If you don't like that it's not supported, don't use it. Don't use it. There you go. Problem solved. But if you want to take your chances with it, I don't mean you. I'm talking about myself. Like if it bothers me that it's not supported anymore, just don't use it. But at the moment, we'll get what we can from it, and perhaps somebody else will pick it up and run with it with permission. Perhaps the original mod maker will continue working on it. I've seen that happen before. I know we're getting some overlap here. Now, if I were to take this down to the 7 degree snap, or what was the smallest one? 5 degree maybe? But if you take it down to the smallest snap, you can, well, yeah, you can snap it to a lower angle so you can be more precise if you're trying to go up the straight side of a field that is not lined up north to south, or, you know what I mean? So there's different tricks that I'm still learning for it. I've only been playing with the mod for about a day, but from what I've seen so far, it is super cool, and I'm super glad that I found it. So we're going right around here, turn that off, and then we'll do this last little bit right here, and we'll call it an episode. There you go. And right up here. This last little bit at the top. And how'd we do? We did overspray this field a little bit, and we had quite a bit of overlap, and we're at, call it 60%. So hopefully we can get most of, if not all of, that other grass field done with what's left in the tank. Right, and then the last thing I'll show you is this. Set the brake, which you don't have to do, but I do anyway. You can also turn this off, right, like so. And in a few seconds, it disappears. And I'm guessing those are all the sorts of things that the mod maker would have taken care of eventually if they had continued working on the mod. So I'm not, I don't see those as problems or issues with the mod. I feel it's just stuff the mod maker didn't get to yet, because Gearbox was a pretty solid mod. Right, that's it. Set the brake, Gonna hop out here. A little screenshotter right there. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not a bad screenshot. Fantastic, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 19 from the Holzer map. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.